We are from Hopin, of course. Thank you. My name is Brinley. I am a recruiter here at Hopin, and I'm excited to meet and chat with you all today.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Annie Schulean. I am also a recruiter here at Hopin. I am currently in Portland, Oregon. That's where I'm based. So hello to everyone on the West Coast. I mean, hello to everyone all over, but it's great to see we have so many people tuning in from all over the place. So excited to chat with you guys tonight, and yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's getting late in the day, so it makes sense we have the West Coast crowd. Hey, everybody, I'm Andy. I'm a recruiting coordinator at Hopin. I'm currently sitting in Austin, Texas. Welcome.
Nice. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you this presentation, give you a little sneak peek into what it looks like to work at Hopin, and then we're going to open it up for questions. So if you have questions during the presentation, feel free to put them in the chat or in the Q&A tab, and we will hopefully get to as many as we can today before we have to leave you all. So great. Let's get into it. So our mission, Hopin is definitely a mission-driven organization, and we really hold our mission at the center of everything that we do. And that mission is better connections for a better planet. So we really, strive to provide a safe, sustainable, and accessible way for people to host and attend events, just like this one, by building the best online events platform in the world.
And what is Hopin? So hopefully you guys have some sort of an idea by now, but Hopin is the world's leading all-in-one virtual event platform where attendees can learn, interact, and connect with people from anywhere in the world, just as we're doing right now. And at a Hopin event, your attendees can network one-on-one, break out into group sessions, watch keynote presentations, send chat messages and polls, and explore interactive expo areas, which it sounds like some of you have had the opportunity to do. And there's also a private virtual backstage for your speakers as well, which is pretty cool.
Yes, indeed. And who are we? So we at Hopin are a remote team of very passionate individuals committed to improving the way that people connect online. Just as Hopin events are creative, diverse, and empowering, we also consider our company to be so as well. We believe that collaboration is the key to success, no matter how many different hats we have to wear, which sometimes is a good number, given that we're still pretty early stage startup. So each team member that we bring on does have a big opportunity to make a big impact. And we are a distributed but connected team. So we support each other in every area of the company to achieve our pretty high goals.
Growth at Hopin. So believe it or not, in January 2020, Hopin had only 8 employees. And now, by the end of January 2021, we had 400 plus employees. And I believe, Brinley, Andy, correct me if I'm wrong, we just passed we made it to our 500th employee, correct? And we're well on our way to 600, which is pretty exciting. So we are growing, and we're growing very quickly. And our company is fully remote. So, everyone can work from wherever they are located, which is super nice. I'm in Portland. Brinley, remind me where you're located again. Right now I'm in
Tucson, Arizona. Yes.
Nice. Andy in Austin. So, yeah, and we've been named in the best work from home companies that include Business Insider, Power to Fly, and the Dots. And then some of our customers have also grown as well. So you'll see on the right-hand side some of our happy customers.
This is probably my favorite thing to talk about at Hopin, which is our values. Just like we really hold our values at the center of everything that we do. And these really guide how we work and who we bring into our company as well. So these values are prioritize impact. So when it comes to work, we do consider that impact matters most, more than, how many hours you're putting in and everything like that. No ego, probably one of my favorite values here, we check our egos at registration, and we really take pride in our work, and we really stay humble while we're doing that. Another one is one step ahead. We strive to be proactive in everything that we're doing. Leading with empathy. So we were created, to break down demographic and geographic barriers. So inclusivity is really, again, at the center of everything that we do. And we really strive to lead with empathy in that way. And then finally, customer champions. So our customers, we're doing everything we're doing for our customers. So we really kind of keep that top of mind across the organization, no matter what team it is that we work on.
So our events, so externally, we have been able to partner with some really great organizations. For example, Lesbians Who Tech, using Hopin to connect professionals in the tech industry. And then as a fully remote team, we also use Hopin internally. So I think Andy maybe mentioned it at the beginning of our meeting, but we use Hopin, for example, for our all hands every Friday as a way for us to connect as a company. And then we also give Hoppineers a chance to learn, grow, and unwind together on the platform. So some of our past events have included Pride Week celebration, a Halloween costume contest, very fun, celebration of cultures, including salsa lessons, game days, and then end of year parties, etc.
Perks. So in addition to being a completely remote team, we also offer unlimited paid time off with flexible work hours. So that really feeds into our value of impact, prioritizing impact over hours. We provide every new employee with an $800 US stipend to set up your home office in whatever way you would like to. And we also offer everyone at the company a stipend of $1,500 US for learning and development. So you can, take a course in something that you want to use to advance your career, anything like that. So, we really prioritize keeping people happy and healthy at Hopin.
Okay, so roles we're hiring for. As I said, we are growing and we are growing fast. So we have a number of roles that we're hiring for kind of across the board. So engineers, front end, back end, full stack, and more. Sales, we're hiring for account executives and account managers. Customer experience, we're looking for customer success, renewals, managers, and we're also hiring in business ops, marketing, finance, people ops, and more. So again, lots of roles out there that we're currently hiring for. We did add a link that should be pinned in the chat. And if you click on that, it's you can check out some of our open roles by visiting our expo booth and apply directly from there.
So on this slide, we showcase just some of our many employees and what they are looking at Hopin. So Delapo says, awesome people, awesome product, plus the company's fast pace makes me feel like I'm on an adventure. I couldn't agree more with Delapo. Delapo lives in West Africa. Felipe, a culture fully into remote work, which allows us to have a great work-life balance and great colleagues that are proactively helpful and friendly. I also agree very much with Felipe. He is from Portugal. Godfrey, team culture is big at Hopin, and I absolutely love our dedication towards maintaining our core values. Everyone is super friendly and always willing to help one another, which is key to successful fully remote team. We truly know how to work hard and play hard. Godfrey hails from Toronto, Canada. And from April, she loves Hopin, or she enjoys working at Hopin because the people are amazing and inspire her every day. She also loves the sense of trust and flexibility. And April works in the UK. So this is a really kind of good representation of our global nature and just how much people really enjoy working here.
All right, and lastly, just some ways to get in touch with us. So You'll see our email address that you guys are welcome to reach out to if you have any questions after the presentation and our session. So recruitingevents@hopin.com. You can also connect with us on Twitter @Hopin, and our website, of course, Hopin.com. So any of those ways are good ways to get in touch with us post this session. So I think that's everything. Now,
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. We still got quite a bit of time, so it's a ton of time for questions from the audience. If any of you guys have questions about what it's like to work at Hopin, anything about being a fully remote company, anything about the platform, shoot them our way either right here in chat or in the Q&A tab in the upper right. There's a Q&A tab you can put questions. Nice thing about that then is your fellow audience participants can actually upload those questions so we can get the most sought after answers out there. Cool, and we just got one from Justine. How would you describe Hopin's remote work culture? Really, you want to tackle that one?
Yeah, absolutely. So before I joined Hopin, I was lucky to have been working already for a remote company. But I recognize that, within the past year, lots of people have been forced to kind of pivot to a remote work environment. And I think Hopin does a really great job of making sure that we all feel connected. We use Slack just for our daily communications. And we actually have what we call a vibe team. They're like our culture team at Hopin, and their entire purpose is to make sure that every Hopineer is informed of everything that's going on. They plan internal events for us, like Annie was talking about earlier, and they just provide us with resources to make sure that we're living our best lives at Hopin. So the way I would describe it is that we have a lot of autonomy. We don't foster like a micromanaging culture at all, but we really put emphasis on keeping people connected and definitely over communicating with each other so that we can get everything done and keep working towards our goals.
I'll also add, so I joined Hopin not too long ago. I'm a little bit newer to the company. And I would just say, at first I was really nervous about starting a remote job. I wasn't really sure, how that would work, if I was going to have the opportunity to meet people, etc. And I think Hopin has done a really great job in connecting their employees from all over the world. So there is something, I think it's called Donut, that we use that randomly pairs you with an employee in the company. And you just have a 15-minute coffee chat type of thing. But I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of different employees from all over and, a number of different roles. So, that's just kind of one example of how we strive to stay connected and something that we do just to, stay in touch with other employees at Hopin. So something I've really appreciated.
Right on. Thanks, Annie. The donuts are super fun, and it's such a fun name. And that's all, just to give some context to that, that's all automated through Slack. If some of you are familiar with Donut, it's a bot in Slack that actually will pair you with somebody else in the company. And it's just a great way to meet people across the team that you wouldn't otherwise have a reason necessarily to interact with. And that's, kind of one of the things about being remote I've observed is that, in an office, even if you don't work on the same team, just in the nature of being in an office, you tend to meet people and build kind of a social rapport with them. When you're remote, you have to put in effort. You have to actively engage in that type of hey, I want to meet somebody that's not on my team. And Donut is a great way to do that. Hopin has a number of different ways that they do it. Like Brindley was talking about the vibe team and a few other things. So it's super cool. So we have a more recruiting focused question from Kate. She's asking, what has a candidate done in the past to stand out and quote, get the job? It's a great question.
That is a really good question. I think that something that comes to mind for me, and I kind of touched upon it a moment ago, is that at Hopin, we really look for people that can kind of jump in and get their hands dirty. And we, have a culture of a lot of autonomy. but also a good balance of like being supported by your managers and your mentors here. So it's not a very specific example, but I would say that's just kind of one of the main things that we look for. I think several people at Hopin in leadership positions have expressed to me that it's better to ask for forgiveness than for permission. So we really, just value people just kind of going for it, and really, and just, showing us what you can do, and not being afraid to take, educated risks, I guess. Hopefully that helps answer the question.
Yeah, Brinley, I think that's great. I'm a little bit newer, so this is just from my, brief perspective, but I would say, when applying, make sure that you have, tailored your resume to kind of show your experience and how you would be able to, really show up at Hopin and make a difference. So, one way to do that would be a cover letter. That always helps just give a little bit more context into, your past experience and why you're interested in working at Hopin. I always really appreciate just reading those, because it gives me a little bit more, information than just a resume would. So that's kind of another way to just stand out a little bit, give the recruiter, whoever is looking at your resume, a little bit more perspective and an idea of who you are, outside of your resume. Your resume can only show so much or tell the recruiter so much. So I always appreciate a cover letter. It, again, gives me a little bit more of an idea of who that applicant is behind their resume.
Awesome. I would just add one thing that I've observed, and I work with a number of the hiring managers across the org, and they're all kind of a little different depending on the role and how they want to run their team. But one thing that I've noticed that's been really consistent is they always gauge employees against the company values. So a lot of companies, and I'm sure we've all worked for some, the values at times kind of just feel like lip service, and the company doesn't always necessarily live them, and sometimes it's they kind of will go by the wayside. But like Hopin, in my observation, takes them very, very seriously, and they actually will like critique candidates against our values. So Brinley, was talking through the values earlier. I think they're even published on our website, and it's like that because everybody takes them really seriously and tries to find candidates that can live those values as well. Great question, though. We have another one. This one's from an anonymous person. How diverse is the company in terms of age range? Do we have information on that?
Yeah, I was just going to say, frankly, I don't think that we have any statistics that we can offer at this time, but diversity is something that is very important to Hopin and something that we're actually putting a lot more strategy and focus around right now. It just, frankly, we're even, we've grown so quickly over the past year, and now we're, getting to the place that we kind of need to be in terms of all of this. But I would say that we're fairly diverse, in terms of age range. And like Andy said, the most important thing for us is that you align with our values and that you can, make an impact here. So age, isn't a factor.
Awesome. Thanks, Brinley. Another question, just going right through our Q&A. So again, if you're just coming on, if you have a question, throw it in the Q&A tab in the upper right, or upvote other people's questions as well. That's super helpful. Do all applications get reviewed by actual people, or do we have a system that's kicking things out?
Sorry, Annie, I don't want to talk too much, but
go for it.
Okay.
I'll jump in if I have anything to add.
Okay. My answer would be yes. Every role has a recruiter that is actually looking at the applications, taking the time to read your resume, read your cover letter, and making decisions to move forward from there. So yes, no bots.
Yeah, super awesome. It's always so frustrating to feel like you're applying places and a computer is kicking you out without anyone actually looking at you. But yeah, definitely not the case here. So this one actually came up in our expo earlier, and it looks like Megan has re-asked it. Thanks for posting it again. How have you balanced such huge growth in 1 year time span while working remotely? Is there any growing pains and lessons learned from growing fast and moving quickly? And how big are you going to get?
Yeah. So I think this is a really great question. I think inevitably there have been some growing pains and lessons learned for sure. I think that one of kind of the challenges we're coming up against is as we scale, how do we keep our communications strong? So again, that's something that our Vibe team is working really hard on. How do we keep everyone informed? How do things not get lost in Slack? How do we document all of our processes? So as we have more and more people join, everything is standard. People know where to find things and where to go to get their questions answered. That's definitely a challenge that I've seen. And I think how, in terms of like, how do we balance such huge growth? Again, I take it back to just personally, I take it back to our values. Like these values are really like the pillars of how we structure our work at Hopin. And we want to really foster this culture of people that align with those. So those are kind of our North Stars, if you will, as we're considering how to grow intentionally and how to keep growing. How big we're going to get, I don't know. We'll see. We do have ambitious hiring goals, but ask us in a year and we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy. I can say from my perspective, it's hard to keep up with like the growth plans right now, right? Like we were talking earlier about how we have weekly all hands at Hopin with the internal team, and every week it's just like kind of like bombshell news, and it's just it's hard to keep up, but it's amazing. Like the energy is crazy, and like employees are just getting after it. So it's definitely all good things, but the growth is like, to Brindley's point, ask us in a year.
Yeah.
So we have more technical kind of recruiting side recruiting question. This one I will put an asterisk next to. This is from Michael, simply because all of our technical recruiters are actually in our EMEA region, so none of them are here. But let's see if we have an answer for you. Do you have Scrum Master, Project Manager roles, or are you more into Product Owner and Product Manager roles?
Yep, great question, Michael. So since for as long as I've been at Hopin, we've been more focused on like the product manager roles. I haven't seen any kind of Scrum Master roles appear just yet. And just to give you some more context, the way that we structure our tech team is by kind of small teams that we call pods. Each of those pods has the product manager, several engineers, and a QA engineer as well. And they work on different areas of the platform or different parts of the Hopin experience. So there's a product manager that kind of heads up each of those pods. And we have a lot of those roles open right now, by the way. So be sure to take a look.
Right on. Thanks, Brindley. All right, moving right along. These are great questions, guys. Keep them coming in the Q&A tab. A role with Remote Americas option means America, the continent, or just Canada, US? So this is kind of a question on where we hire.
Yeah, so AMER in the job descriptions usually just means Americas as a continent, North, Central, and South. We do hire globally. Each country, kind of has its intricacies, but we definitely encourage you, to apply to the role that you're interested. If it says Remote AMER and you're in the Americas region, it definitely is not limited to just the US and Canada.
Right on. And same is true with our EMEA in some regions over the pond. Right on. So there's a question about openings on kind of our HR team. As we're still building our products, obviously we can see the growth, kind of on our engine, some of our customer facing roles, but some of our more support roles like HRBP roles. What does that look like in the future?
Yeah, so of course we can't really speak to specifics, but just going from kind of example of how Hopin's been growing, the more people that join, the more need we're going to have for additional HR business partners and additional kind of HR support. So like we keep saying, we do have ambitious growth goals. And I think, definitely more roles on the people team are going to open up over the course of the year. So I would say definitely keep your eye on that if that's something you're interested in.
I'm going to start removing some questions, guys, just because our list is getting a little bit longer. If I remove a question and you feel like it hasn't been answered sufficiently, just go ahead and throw it in there again, and I'll make sure we get it. So from Kate, she's asking, is the hiring team opposed to getting emails from job candidates to follow up or to simply reiterate and express their interest after applying?
I don't think so. I'm assuming, do you mean like after the interview takes place? If I'm understanding the question correctly, I don't believe that we mind getting
Kate,
emails.
maybe you can clarify the question a little bit in chat. I'm thinking she means just after like applying through the site, sending emails or like LinkedIn messages to the recruiters. I would say no. We get a lot of that activity at Hopin, and back to the question that was asked earlier about like, do you review everything? The answer to that is yes. So yes, we review everything, and no, we're not opposed to getting emails from candidates that have a serious interest in coming to the Hopin team.
And I would say we try and get back to candidates pretty quickly after they apply. So hopefully we don't keep you waiting for too long too. But yeah, we typically don't mind getting other messages.
Yep. This is a great question. What should one expect for the onboarding process? I'm sure that question's come up in a lot of different sessions today with all these remote companies, and it's such like a new thing. How do you hire for remote companies? So it'd be interesting, I think, maybe for all of us to share our onboarding experience a little bit.
Well, I'll go first since I just went through it the other week. So your first week at Hoppin is going to be spent in what they call Hoppin Academy. So, really it is kind of a full week onboarding where you're meeting with different members of each team that we have, and they're giving you kind of some insight into what their team does, what their role is, what they're responsible for, and then also really diving deep into the product and how it works on the front end and the back end. And how consumers use it and all of that good stuff. So it gives you some really great insight into all the different roles at Hopin, all the different teams, what everyone's kind of responsibilities are and how they play together. So it's a great way to get kind of up to speed with everything Hopin on your first week. I found it all really interesting and really beneficial. And they also try and make it fun too. So it's not just like you're sitting in front of your computer for X amount of hours. Each day there's, some fun, like I think they did a trivia thing. They try and just, switch it up too. So it feels fun and exciting. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. You get to interact with other new Hopin members as well. So got to meet a lot of really cool people from all over who were starting on the same day as me. So yeah, that's a little bit about, my first week. And then of course, like after that, you kind of continue onboarding and training with the specific team that you're on. So you can kind of continue ramping and learning a little bit more about your roles and responsibilities after that as well.
Brindley, what about your onboarding experience?
Yeah. So when I joined Hopin last year, the Hoppin Academy that Annie was talking about did not exist yet. But, for me, it was a lot of just kind of diving right in with my team. I actually started on the customer success team at Hopin and have since moved over to recruiting. So, I think everyone across the board at Hopin is really excited for their new joiners to just kind of jump in and really start to feel like experts in what they're doing pretty quickly. So I was shadowing a lot of calls and, just spending a lot of time with my teammates, and then was, kind of doing my customer success duties by the beginning of my third week at Hopin.
Right on. My experience was also pretty fast. Similar to Brindley, Hoppin Academy didn't exist yet. So I didn't get as much product exposure as Annie did and any of our new hires in the last few months here have. But I will say, like, one of the things that they did that I have since turned around and am doing now is they do this thing called Hopin Buddies, where somebody from the team, and it can be anybody from any team, will be your Hopin buddy, which just means like they're going to kind of show you the ropes. So they're going to connect with you on your first day, set up a call, like show you around Slack, show you around some of our internal tools, give you a product demonstration, kind of whatever you want, and just be there to like help you, just get every kind of like new person jitter, silly question out of the way. And since then, one of the highlights of my week has become a Hoppin buddy. So not every week, but most weeks I get paired up with a new person, and then I try to be the best buddy I can and help them through.
Buddy Andy.
Oh, stop it! I'm sure half of them want to run for the hills, but.
No, I was gonna say my buddy, I feel like has been a total lifeline for me too, because it is so nice to have just someone that you can go to with all those questions that you may think are stupid or silly or whatever. But it's been really nice to just have someone to be able to chat when something comes up. You're like, what does this mean, or whatever. That's been an awesome thing to have when you're just starting out. So
for sure, Hoppin buddies, it's like the best thing. I think every company should do it, even in-person ones. Like just have a buddy.
Yeah.
Somebody can kind of follow around, and that's great. So hopefully we answered that question. How quick is the hiring process from submission to offer?
Yeah, so this definitely depends upon the role. I think at Hopin, because we're anxious to get people in the door, we're anxious to grow, and, we have a lot of work to be done. We do try and make the process as quick as possible. I would say on average, 2 to 3 weeks. Usually, each interview process is like 3 to 4 steps long, where you're meeting with different folks on the team, a lot of cross-functional interviews as well. And so that sometimes, Andy, I'm sure you can speak to this. It takes a little bit of scheduling effort sometimes just to be able to, people are across time zones and, working on different stuff. But we do try and, make things speedy and efficient for everyone and everyone involved.
Yeah, I think, from my observations, we want every candidate to have experience interviewing with Hoppin, of course. And so part of that is, I think the recruiters, Brindley and Annie included, do a really good job of like understanding, you as a candidate and trying to make accommodations, where we can. So like, for instance, I've had situations where a recruiter like Brindley will reach out to me and be like, hey, this candidate is also in discussions with so-and-so, and what can we do to like make this go as fast as possible? So we'll schedule a couple of our phases up front just to make sure we're getting those conversations, to make sure that the candidate is getting to ask their questions and see the team and see the company, as well as us have a fair shake of that candidate. So I think it can be very quick. It can also be long if the candidate's not very free, or if, to Brindley's point, if the team is, we're trying to have a meet with a larger panel, it's a little bit more challenging just to work out the logistics. But great question though. This is a good one, and this one also was sort of echoed in our expo booth. So Laronda's asking, do certain roles require you live in or near certain cities, or require residency of certain countries? Before we answer that, I just kind of want to like echo it with the question from our expo, which do we prefer certain roles or positions to be in certain countries or cities, and how do we kind of pick what to hire what position in? Let me know if that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I think it makes sense, and of course, again, depends on the role and the team. So in terms of kind of the first part of the question, do we require people to live near like certain cities or in certain countries? The kind of short answer is no. We're a completely remote company, so we want you to live wherever it is that you want to live. And we have, different ways of employing people in different parts of the world. So that can all be figured out, as you kind of go through the interview process and get to an offer with Hopin. And then how do we decide where we want people? If you look on our careers page, it says, remote EMEA, remote AMER, remote global or whatever. That just kind of depends on the team and where the needs of that team lie. So, if there's leadership in a certain part of the world, or if it's like a new team that really needs to coordinate closely with that leadership, we'll probably try and have them in the same region. But I think for a lot of our roles, it really doesn't matter, kind of what time zone you're in. We do try and make an effort to really promote asynchronous communication and kind of, just supporting people wherever they want to live.
Right on. Thank you, Brinley. Megan is asking, I think Megan asked an earlier question as well. Thanks for all the questions, Megan. What are Hopin's biggest goals for 2021 and biggest challenges we're anticipating?
Yeah. So I think that, where Hopin wants to go is we are the leading virtual event platform, and we want to continue to be that as we move into a hybrid event space. So, hopefully at some point, in-person events are going to be able to continue. And, Hopin wants to be continuously involved in that by being the virtual component to all of those events. So I think that's both our biggest goal and our biggest challenge. So I think that's how I would answer that question.
Yep, right on. Absolutely. At our weekly All Hands with CEO doesn't stop talking about the hybrid events and our readiness for it. So we all know it's coming, and yeah, for sure, that is the goal. Cedar asks, what are some of the current immediate roles Hopin is hiring? We can definitely direct you, Cedar, to our careers page. There's a link right to that, or there's a link to apply at our expo booth. You can also then browse what's currently open at Hopin, which I can say is definitely like a little bit or a lot of it of everything at the moment. How do we find out who the recruiter is for a certain area, like finance, legal, or sales? And then how do we find out how to get in touch with them?
Yeah, that's a good question. We're all on LinkedIn. I'm not sure how you would really tell, but like Andy was saying earlier, we're all pretty open, to connecting on LinkedIn. And if we're not the recruiter that you're looking for, we can flag your application with that other recruiter. And then like we've been saying, every application is reviewed by a human. So, once a recruiter gets in touch with you, you'll have their contact information. You can follow up. And we also pride ourselves on an amazing candidate experience. So like Annie said, we want to get back to you as soon as possible. We want to keep you informed on what's happening. And we want to understand you and where you're at as a candidate. So hopefully that's helpful.
Yep. So TLDR, apply, and then you'll be in touch with an actual person. And presumably it's going to be the person for the area, for the position that you applied for. Yeah, great question, Sharon. Thank you for asking it. All right. We are moving right on. How would you describe Hopin's remote work culture? We answered something similar to this a little bit ago. This maybe was a re-ask, though, in case Justine wasn't here. So Brinley or Annie, you guys want to go over that?
Yeah, I liked what you said earlier, the way you described it earlier. But I can kind of jump in too and just talk a little bit. I would say, so I just started a couple weeks ago. I keep saying that, but just kind of my perspective, at first I was really nervous about starting a remote job. Obviously the last year prior to coming to Hopin, I had been working remote. But now moving into a company that was fully remote, I was just kind of like, what is this going to be like? How am I going to meet people? All the questions. I would say, for being a fully remote company, we're very much like intertwined. I feel like I'm constantly talking with people. We really utilize platforms like Slack and things like that to connect with each other. We also use Hopin to be able to have fun events or just meet with employees from across the company face to face. I believe we also do, like, each week there's some sort of a connect fest that we do where you're able to jump on. I think it's like maybe I'm explaining it totally wrong, but there's lots of different opportunities for you to meet employees from all over the world. So I feel like it's, been very inclusive, and yeah, that's a little bit about my experience thus far. But Brinley, I think you described it a lot better than I just did. So feel free to jump in.
No, that's awesome. And I only have like 3 minutes left, so I'm going to go really quick so we can get to some of the other great questions that we have. But yeah, I would describe our remote work culture as very inclusive, and we do put a lot of effort around making sure everyone is informed on everything that's going on. And even though we do foster a culture of like a lot of autonomy and giving people room to like take ownership, we also, want people to over communicate and ask for help when they need to. So I think that that's really telling of how we work.
I want to, there's just 3 questions left. Let's see if we can tackle these really fast. This is such a good question, Megan. I'm so happy you asked it. With all the growth, are there opportunities to work on side projects with other departments in addition to your central role, or do people mainly stay focused on their one role department? Great question. You guys have that?
I do. Yeah, I love this question. And the answer is definitely yes. The opportunities, to do other things. And that's like one of the biggest reasons why I love working for Hopin, and one of the biggest reasons why I've loved working for startups in general. For example, this event is kind of a side project, like we all have other things that we're doing on the recruiting space, but we wanted to come be a part of this event. And, so we're doing this. And that's true across the company. One example that comes to mind is we have a little kind of announcement that goes live every week called Hoppin Headlines. And someone different every week does it. So you can like volunteer for that if you want to, and kind of give the announcement to the company about all the things that we have going on. So that's just one example of the many things that you can get involved in that are outside of your role.
Yep. So Megan, I have a number of side projects going at any given time. I'm a recruiting coordinator. Like Brinley said, this is a good example. I volunteered to do this one, and I have a number of other things. And what I appreciate about it most is my manager, when I sit with her every week, we have conversations about where do I want to be, and then she tries to find me projects that are, adjacent to that. So it will help me be prepared and get to that point. And just be honest, that's not even has anything to do with recruiting. It's somewhere else in the business. And like Brinley said earlier, she actually came from our success team over to recruiting. So it's a huge thing at Hopin. It's definitely something that I think is amazing and I'm proud of at the company. But great question. With rapid growth of the company, what's the employee retention been like? This is a really great question from Lakesha. I'm not sure how we say your name. Sorry if I butchered it.
That's a really great question. I'm sorry that we don't have like actual metrics on this as far as I know yet either, but I think my general pulse has been that retention has been great. I don't know of many people who have joined Hopin and left, and we're still very new too. So I think that's, something we'll have to see as time goes on, but I think we're putting a lot of effort into making this a really inclusive space where people feel like they belong and that they're doing really good work. So I hope that we can keep that up.
Attrition's been very, very low. And our CEO actually recently said, I promise that we're going to do right by employees. If we're not doing right by you, come talk to me and I will make it right. So hopefully that gives some transparency into, our retention. Last question on here. Hold on, just gonna pop up. You are one of the startups in Europe. How do you maintain excellent output amidst all of that growth? I think this is a similar question we got earlier around kind of the growing pains. And if we're growing so fast, how are we keeping up with creating our product and doing our thing?
Yeah, I think that this comes back to our values, truly. Like one of our values is, to be one step ahead, prioritize impact, leave your ego, at the door. We truly look for people who are going to just come and work hard and take ownership and have a really good time while doing it. So I think that's how we've been able to just put out a fantastic product. Everybody works really hard, but they feel supported while doing it. And I think it all comes back to being intentional with who we're bringing on based on our values.
It's such a good question from Cedar. Do you have large parties for remote staff to mingle? We haven't yet because we're so new. We're so new that there has not been an opportunity to have a large party. But all indication, all hints, all rumors are that maybe. There's been a lot of chatter about it. I could see us doing it. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Hope so one day. I think, yeah, I mean, it's been we're so new, and with the climate of what's going on in the world too, we haven't really had the opportunity to do that, but fingers crossed that that's something that we're able to do in the future for sure.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think that we also need to, like, we're gonna do it, and we're gonna do it some way with Hopin. Like, we're gonna have some like crazy hybrid event for the company, which is gonna be awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That's all the questions in Q&A. And I think we're about right at time, aren't we?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Megan, for asking so many good questions, and to everybody that popped in today and asked anything or just stuck around and heard the answers that we had to give. If there's anything else, any other questions that come up, Brindley, you had our contact information on that last slide. I don't know if you can pop that up again, or you can go to the Expo booth and get in touch with us that way, or of course, just on Hopin.com, our career site, all sorts of ways to get in touch with us, and we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. You asked great questions. Thank you so much for coming to spend time with us.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you.